In this video, we're going to show the database administrator how they can build very quickly an interface using CPhrase. Here we show launching CPhrase as an AMI. First we select the AMI, we launch it, we select micro, and then here we supply the user data. First the shebang line. Then the script that launches CPhrase. We won't add storage nor tags. As for the security group, what we'll pick here is we'll pick just the CPhrase basic. So what this is essentially just has is it has SSH connections, and then it has TCP ports open between ports 8000 and 999. This one, 9999, is an important port we'll see later. Okay, so we reviewed this and then we'll launch it. Select this key pair I already have. Okay, so now it's launching. So if we go to the instances, we'll see here it's pending and it will be initializing shortly. And then starting. See that the EC2 instance is running. So there's a CPhrase server running. So if we select that, and then we go to we copy here the public DNS, paste it in here, and then also include here the port 9999. This is the port that the administration interface is running on. So here we need to log in. It's password protected. So we say the username is always admin, and then the password is always the instance ID of the EC2 instance you just launched. So if we go here, we paste that in, and we sign in. Now what we see here, I'll just save that. What we see here then is the main CPhrase interface, the main CPhrase admin interface. So let's take a quick tour of the CPhrase administration interface. What we have here is the interfaces page where we can launch various natural language interfaces. These are example interfaces that came with CPhrase. So if we look at Geo, for instance, we can select these examples here, these example questions, and we can launch this, and it reports that the process has been launched. And now this link right here, if we give this to our users, they can go to that, and then they can actually interact with this natural language interface. So for instance, the smallest city in the largest state. So the largest population state is California, so the smallest city in California. In the database here, it's Scotts Valley. If we go back here now, that's the interfaces page of the administration interface. And these are some example natural language interfaces we can launch, but what these are backed by, of course, is there has to be something there, and those are what are called configurations. So the configurations listed are listed here, and an important point is that configurations are of basically two types, standalone or remote. In the standalone case, we actually have the database existing on the CPhrase server. In the remote case, which is probably the typical case, your database sits in a different location, and we're going to connect to it and then run the interface. The interface will be run on the CPhrase server, but the database resides remotely. Here we actually can do the editing of the configurations, which we'll come to soon, and then we can actually create configurations. So this creation of configurations is what we're going to do next. We're going to show an example of bringing in a completely new database and building a configuration for it. So now we're going to show how we actually create a new CPhrase configuration. So the configuration here is going to be for a remote database. So it's for the Northwind database, which is a common Microsoft example database. And here's the connection string. So first, it's a PostgreSQL database. The database name is Northwind. The host that it's running on and then the user is a read-only account. And then the password is the not so secure db123. So when I click create here, what it's going to do, it's going to copy over the schema information from Northwind into CPhrase. And then as we can see here, we have a new configuration called Northwind. If we look at it now, these are the relations that came over, the tables that came over from Northwind. What we're going to show now is even this, without any configuration whatsoever, we actually have a very simple natural language interface for Northwind that we can take a look at. So what we'll do next is we'll launch that, we'll see what we get initially, and then we'll go and we'll fix it to make it a bit better. And we'll select this link. So here's the basic interface. What we can always do is we're in the very beginning, get a description of the database. So what we see here is we see the tables of the database, and then we see the join paths. So for instance, we have this categories, and we can see there are some plural problems that we'll need to fix later. Categories having products, products having order details, having suppliers. So we might say something like this. Let's just take a very, very simple question here. Just kind of let's look at the categories, for instance. And we know that products have categories. So the categories that are, here are some of the categories. So we say category, we can click here, category name, beverage. And we can basically say, let's look at the products having categories, beverages. So these are the beverages that are in the database. So there they are all listed. These are indeed beverages. And then we can say also stuff like having supplier, country, Germany, or France, or Italy. So this will give us the beverages that are coming from Germany, France, or Italy. And here they are. So these are indeed French and German, it looks like French and German products. All right, so this is still a little clunky. So these descriptions here are pretty clunky, but if we look at the SQL, this is, for example, the SQL that was generated for that particular query. So yeah, so right here we can scroll, we can see this SQL. We can even copy this here if we want to and paste it into some other place. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the administration interface, and we're going to make it so this is a lot smoother. So let's go back here, and now what we'll do is we'll shut this down. We'll stop that interface, and then what we'll do is we'll go over and we're going to edit that configuration. We're going to edit the Northwind configuration so that it can handle these examples a bit better. Okay, as part of the editing process, one of the very first and very easy things to do is just to simply give better names to the relation. So when we look at this categories relation, what we can do here is we can click on that, and now we can look at this lex. So we can actually attach better lexical elements. So here what we can basically say is we can say, okay, the singular form is category, and the plural form is categories. All right, so now what we see here now is that this is in green. So that means that we've actually renamed it. So this gives us an indication that we're making some progress. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and do this for all of the tables in the database. Just do this really, really quickly. Okay, so Okay, now all of the tables have been renamed, so that's good. Now what we also want to do is we want to go through and we want to get the join paths renamed as well. So for instance, we'd like to be able to say something like supply by rather than this having. So we might look at something like this. We might look at something like products, and then we see the foreign key here from products into categories. So we might want to say something like this. We might want to say something like, what is it? Products of type. And then we always actually do the reverse direction also. So we say basically categories, so basically beverage type products. Okay, so that just basically names both directions of that foreign key when we traverse that foreign key. Let me go ahead and do a couple more quickly. All right, now what we want to do is we want to have it so that we can just name things without saying like categories and then having the name. So with this, the way you do this is you introduce what's called a primary value. So we have category name, where the primary key here is the ID of the category, but that's not so useful. We like just to be able to name like beverages and then have that stand for the full constraint that the categories equal to beverages. So the way you do that is you introduce something called a primary value. And this primary value just simply has a key. So the key of the primary value in this case here is just simply the category name. So if you say something like beverages, then basically that's standing for a full condition on the table categories. A related capability is the ability to, for instance, say with suppliers here, a related ability is the ability to basically just name a country and not have to name, to say that it's a supplier. Not have to be able to say country names. You can say supplier, you can say from Sweden. So let's just go ahead and see how we do that. The way we do that is we go to the particular attribute, in this case country, and we give it a special property. And that property is called ellipsis. And these are all documented, of course, but we basically just give that ellipsis. And now what that allows us to do is if we just say Sweden, then it's going to stand for a supplier from Sweden. Okay, what we want to do now is we would like to make it so users have a little bit better pointing and clicking capability to build out queries. So the way you do that is we're going to go in here to Northwind, and we're going to add what's called a corpus. All right, the corpus we're going to have is just going to basically be called examples. Okay, so this corpus was now built, and if we look in here, we'll see that it's in there. So now we're going to edit this. So there are a couple things that are worth pointing out here. One is that we have what are called constant questions, and what these allow for is they allow for us to just generate simple constants that we can build queries out of. So what we'll do here now is we're just going to have the constants category name categories. All right, so now we have a constant query there, and let's also have like the country for suppliers. We'll add that in as a constant as well. So constants, and the text is country of suppliers. Okay, so this is as far as we wanted to go with this corpus. This, we'll see, will allow us to do point and click construction of queries. So let's click on a link and see the new interface. So the first thing is up here, we can actually just get those keywords. These are the constant queries that we just defined in the corpus earlier. So if we have the category names, and we have the country of the suppliers. So we can use these now to construct queries. So if I ask the question, for instance, let's say the product, so continuation there, products supplied by Sweden, UK, and Norway, and then of type seafood or produce. Yeah, so these are that. Yeah, this looks pretty common then, so for seafood there. So we might say, well, produce, we could say, all right, not just seafood produce, we can say, let's try grains and cereals coming out of those countries. Yeah, so this looks like these are some extra ones. All right. One thing to keep in mind is you can also do the other types of questions as well. So, for instance, the suppliers of products type dairy products or beverages. Does a spell correction there. And then here are all the suppliers that supply those. So what this shows here then is it shows just very quickly from importing your database, you can have a natural language, a rudimentary natural language interface up very quickly. What future videos will show is that we'll show many other types of extensions we can provide via CPhrase. So thank you for your attention. Bye.